Welcome to Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. My name is Mompoloki Lerumo. Our objective is to enthuse, inspire, energize, and empower entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs of all stripes here in BW and beyond. We do so by inviting these entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs into our makeshift studio. Sometimes we call them to the restaurant, sometimes we go to our studio, and we ask them to share their experiential knowledge, their experiences and their expertise. And we ask them as many questions as we can, aimed at empowering you also as a viewer. Hello and welcome to another episode of Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. As always, we try to bring you life-changing and empowering business information. I have a young man to do just that. His name is Lante Katlego Bannerman. Mr. Bannerman,
yes.
Welcome to the studio. Would you mind introducing yourself to the viewers?
Not at all. My name is Lante Katlego Bannerman. I've lived here pretty much my whole life. I'm very grateful, to be a part of your podcast. I'm not really have the experience in being on podcasts, so I'm excited as well, this being my first one, and thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. Tell us about your educational background a little bit.
Yeah, so I was in private schools the whole time, really. I was in Northside here, Marwapula here, and from there I went to Malaysia, which was also through the government initiative. They had sponsorships that were allocated to those that met the requirements. This was back in 2005. I did Form 5 in 2005, and I distinctively remember getting all B's. I had about 9 B's. So being being someone that I considered, to be, relatively smart, I was not so happy with that, and fortunately for me, it was still good enough to get into a school in Malaysia, a school that I had been aware of during the 2007 break, where we had explored various institutions we could visit and get to know. And
tell me what your degree was on.
That was e-business and marketing. It was a double major. Initially, I started with banking and finance. That was a degree that I had in the middle, just on the diploma year, which was the second year. I had decided to drop and pursue e-business and marketing at another university in Malaysia.
Okay, tell us about API Events.
So API Events is a company based in South Africa. They are a real estate events or platform hosting company. So they pretty much cover African real estate. We are the leading African real estate property events company. And that's training courses, webinars, seminars, forums. We've got national events, regional events. So we cover pretty much all your events. And
what does the abbreviation stand for, API?
API stands for Africa Property Investments.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's in your portfolio?
I mean, it's very focused with your real estate players. So all types of financial institutions, all types of your developers, your agencies, your construction, everyone that affects the built environment, really. So we go into tourism and hospitality as well. We have a wide range, a wide database of industry players that we've worked with and continue to work with, and that's why we are the leading real estate platform. Really, we've been around for 11 years. And that was much earlier than when I was around. I've only been with the team working pro bono, by the way, for about a year. And they've got the experience, really. So, I mean, the name speaks for itself. People are aware of our brand. When it comes to...
Who's who's the brainchild? Who's the brain behind the child?
I can't really tell you that because I don't know the people that found or the inception that was created at the time. Like I said, it was about 10, 11 years ago. And I haven't sought that information. I do know that we have the current director who has been around for almost that time. Mm-hmm. So he was definitely one of the founders. His name is Kafir Rusin. He's the current director.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when did they come to Botswana? You said 11 years ago?
No, Botswana's first event was done in 2018. So this event we're going to speak on will be the 3rd annual event. We did have a 2.5-year break due to COVID. So 2018, 2019, 2019 was the last event people must have attended.
Mm. Yeah. Tell me about the first event and how challenging was it to get it started?
Yeah, I can speak a bit on that because I only joined last year. So the people I do work with, I have gotten some information from them on how things were run. They had a much bigger team at the time. The company's gone through a few evolutionary changes. At the time, the first event was conceived in 2018, the Botswana event rather. So we have had plenty regional events and national events in the 10 years that this company has been operating. But the first event in 2018 was a well put together event from what I am told. We had all types of stakeholders covering all your sectors that are related to your Botswana infrastructure and your property in Botswana. And from what I am told, it was a very successful event.
Okay, tell us the main details about the event, the one that is coming up. What does it entail?
So, I mean, the theme, we can speak on that, is building Botswana's new future. And what we plan on doing there is incorporating the usual segments from your real estate and your infrastructure and your built environment topics, and using those to plan towards a change or a conception of new change. So we're not only just harnessing the COVID issues and rising from those, we are also looking forward with regards to the topics we create and how they may shape the next 8 years, 9 years, 10 years of this decade. And really, building Botswana's new future speaks towards that. It's looking at what we are, where we are, looking at how COVID has affected us, and then looking at how we can adapt, adopt, and place ourselves in a position to really leverage off leverage off whatever the life gives us, because we don't know what's going to happen, really.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen in this life we have. But what we do know is we can best place ourselves to make the best impact from there.
Okay, where is API headquartered? Where is it based?
API events are in Johannesburg, in Sandton, Ilovo and Sandton. So they have, like I said, they have tentacles all over Africa. They've partnered with big real estate industry players in your West African, East African, and Central African regions. And I mean, these partners have got their own platforms as well. You've got your big companies that also have platforms, for example, Stanbic and the Incubators series. I mean, we've partnered with them. So, I mean, it goes far into anything we have to do with real estate on African real estate, we are a part of.
Okay, can you tell me how an average entrepreneur, somebody maybe with a multi-res, three tenant multi-res, can become a part of this?
Interesting question. From an investor point of view, you would want to be a part of this at least by attending. My take would be we do have other platforms, the digital platforms that provide information through other companies. So we facilitate, share information from other companies on your LinkedIn and Facebook, and that would also come in handy if you'd like to research on whatever you're playing with. So as an investor with a 3-bed, you'd want to attend because we have developers there that you can network with. We have people that have been in that situation that you'd be in. You'd want to hear about the general economy as well. You want to know where to position yourself here and in the next couple of years. It's
well, let me take it to another extreme. If you're a successful real estate company, I mean, for argument's sake, a 10-star or a prime time, how would they benefit from an event like this?
I mean, they've got multiple ways they could actually leverage from this platform. You see, we decide on positioning the companies we work with first by listening to them. You know, they will have their own motives and ideals for the year. So we hear those out and we take that list, and then we see where our deliverables can coincide with their motives, and we build out, basically we use our platforms to build out whatever is needed for that company to best gain. So your Turnstar, for example, a lot of their shareholders would want to know just where, you know, the economy is in a base level. So we have that in our speaking roles. We have the right people who are speaking. We have the right platforms for sharing information. So if Turnstar needs a campaign, they are able to get that. They're also able to share any of their own internal information through our database. We do have a very well-established database of Botswana, both on company and individual level. So we're also able to use that to assist companies on a level where they can reach out to specific targets, for example. And I mean, it's very broad, but that's why we first initiate hearing the company's motives and working with that. Because we do realize there are a lot of players in this industry, and they all have different ideals for where they want to take the company.
Okay, let me digress for a bit. I happen to know that you come from an entrepreneurial family.
Right.
How has that impacted you? How has that influenced your career choice and your involvement in real estate?
Right, that's a good question. My father and mother have always been entrepreneurs for as long as I can remember. They've had jobs and they've created businesses that are very heavily reliable on, you know, communicating, networking, selling. Basically, the main factors you need as an entrepreneur. It's a whole lot of mental advantages you gain from being an entrepreneur. Just being rigid where you need to be, being fluid where you need to be, realizing that, you know, someone's no doesn't mean everyone's no. Getting you know, the best position for where you are. Like, sometimes you have to utilize the resources you have and not just be stuck in a planning stage where you feel like, you know, you could reach certain goals, but you don't have those resources. It really is about living in a moment where you know you're best suited to rise from that moment.
So
and
did you learn a lot of that from your dad or from your mom, or both of them?
So both of them, they both gave me, I guess, an advantage just from mimicking, as well as, you know, my dad is a very strong speaker. Even at home, we would have, when we were young, we would have, I guess they would call it like dinner sessions, where we would talk. It wouldn't just be any type of information, really. It could be religious, it could be entrepreneurial, it could be, you know, your general news. But the way he brought those conversations in would always, I guess, incite or make me feel a certain way of thinking. I think that's the most important thing. Your mindset and your thinking when approaching different situations and topics. So I mean, I appreciate my parents for that, and they definitely assisted with, you know, some of the businesses I've started and continued throughout my time. If I could talk about those, I mean, it would be great to also, since we're in the.
Well, I'm just curious, what other businesses apart from API Events are you involved in?
Yeah, so API Events is a company I was working with, and they are a property-related company. So that's my bread, if you want to call it that. It's what I'm used to. I've been in the property industry for almost 10 years. But growing up and realizing that, you know, you can't just rely on one source of income, I started a lot of businesses along the way. In high school, I used to sell stock sweets. I used to sell CDs back when we had compact discs and we were able to burn songs and compile your typical compilations or your playlist that you'll see on your music streaming sites now. We were doing that with CDs, and I would be burning these playlists according to my tastes and selling them off in different stages. That would also get me some money. High school then led to college, where I met, this is out of my interests really, so I'd always try and sell things that interested me. At this point it was video games and your associated programming softwares and your consoles, and I realized Botswana had a shortage of these in terms of the people that were selling them. It was very much a monopoly, and I gave Botswana a different avenue to buy games. Not only that, I brought the first rental of games system into Botswana. I used the Facebook groups platform to create a group that really just created the hype. Then we had our main database of people, and from that it grew up, and word of mouth took that as far as it could as well. But then we also had some huge events. There was a gaming forum, I remember, in the mid 2010s, I think it was 2015 or 16, where I was invited because, you know, people had seen that, you know, there's a guy
Where
here
was this?
in Airport Junction. Yeah, and I took great pleasure in providing the kids that were there with, you know, an easy way of buying games. You know, the games are expensive, and they've always been. I mean, now even on your digital platforms where they sell them, because they're not sold much physically, but even then, the digital ones are expensive. So what I did was, I mean, I didn't want the people I knew I also had an issue with, you know, I didn't want them to also have the same issue. So I sold them games at minimum. I found a way to still make money from that, like introducing this rental situation. So I mean, from there I've also gotten into the fashion industry. I create your casual wear, so that's t-shirts, shorts.
Is this one of them?
This is one of them. I call this Afri Tees. Afri Tees was my brainchild with a Ghanaian who is into fabrics. He sells fabrics. I think it's his mother's business. So during a holiday trip in Ghana, I spent some time with this guy whose mom sells fabrics, and I told him, look, let's take this out of Ghana. I'll sell in South Africa and Botswana. Let's get a regional depot here, whether it means bringing the fabric and then we manufacture them here. I think that would be the best option. So I mean, we tried a different different ways of doing things.
Where are you manufacturing currently?
No, so what we do now is we buy the t-shirts here. COVID had obviously stricken the possibility of sending everything through. So as soon as I had the opportunity, I got as much fabrics as I could. I brought them here and doing them all in-house here. I've got a couple of people that I can rely on to make sure the quality is good. We pride ourselves in quality. And not only that, we are selling one-of-ones. So one-of-ones means each individual item is unique. You will not find another like it. There will always be something different on the t-shirt or around it. that will show that it is the only one of it.
What's the price entry point with these t-shirts?
I'll sell a t-shirt like this for 250 pula, 300 rand, and I'll sell a joint t-shirt and maybe trouser combo for about 600. About this one-on-one thing, I wanted to bring it up because another thing I'm interested in and that I'm going to go into in the near future is the Web3. Web3 and its various factors. One being, the ability to sell merchandise through NFTs or through digital platforms in another way that hasn't been experienced before. So, I mean, every t-shirt, every item I sell will come with an NFT. The NFT will have its own value. It'll be sold on a secondary marketplace. It'll basically be its own living, item. That
NFTs are still beyond our comprehension. My personal comprehension. Can you explain to them, just beyond the definition of non-fungible tokens,
right,
exactly how they work?
Right. So, I mean, this is relatively new around the world. It's not like we are behind as Botswana. But the people that are interested in it will do some research, and it's not really hard to grasp. It's a way of getting a contract, a digitized contract, and the way of getting that to represent the value that you can gain from it. So in the past, you would have trading cards. Those trading cards would mean something towards how you use them.
Trading cards are baseball cards.
Your baseball cards and football cards, and recently your Pokemon cards. I mean, at its base, that's what it is, because once you have that card and no one else has that card, it creates scarcity. There's a demand for it. There's a marketplace where these are traded and sold, and your basic NFT is like that. Now, what NFTs also expand into is the ability to create revenue for yourself where you wouldn't be able to before. You've got franchises that are your franchises and your brands that are taking advantage of this, but the lovely part about it is your everyday person can create a collection. Your artists can make money from this simply by scanning what they've done or what they usually do, scanning it into a digital copy, and promoting that on a marketplace.
Has anyone made money from NFTs in Botswana?
In Botswana, no, but I'll tell you what. We've got a couple of friends who have been in the space for about a year, and we are partnering with people that we know can actualize this, making money from this. I have made quite a bit of money.
From NFTs?
From NFTs. I've been in the NFT space for about 4 months, and I've already made $5,000 in profit. And it's not even. It's a scary thing. I wouldn't say it's not even hard to do, but it's definitely a new space, and there are all types of loopholes and barriers that you might want to make sure that you're aware of before you even step in that space. But once you're in it and the interest
is it
takes
not a highly risky?
It is risky. I wouldn't say, look, it's risky. They don't even have insurance for it at the moment, and you know that anything that starts off making so much money like this really would need insurance. They're still trying to figure that out.
You should keep going for another 2-3 years before some of us can follow, because we want to really see if it works. Right.
I mean, there's different ways to take advantage of it. That's also the lovely part of it. I'm just doing a buying and selling. I'm doing a trading type of thing. So
let me see if I understand it. You basically take you scan a picture of something, maybe a piece of art you've created, and then after scanning it, you preserve it, and by preserving it and creating a uniqueness about it, you're creating value.
Yes, and to add to that, the creator would need to create a contract. So it's a smart contract, and that contract is legible from anywhere by anyone. So this is a decentralized platform, so very easy to access this information, which is also very important. And that contract now, once created, everyone can have access to it, like I said. So they put a price on it, and you can say,
who puts a price on it?
The creator. It's the creator's baby.
In other words, you decide on a figure.
You decide on a figure. You can auction it out as well. There's no rule to how you want to sell it, really. The best thing to do is to use your common secondary marketplaces. And
I've seen sort of funny-looking monkeys and baboons. Is that what it's about? Just creating ugly little things and selling them?
Well, those are called profile picture projects. So your PFP projects are what maybe grew this thing to a level where people are selling their monkeys, like you said, for $400,000, $1 million, right? Because what that is now, it's a community. It's a certain amount in supply. The value will rise.
If you
in
buy
such a case.
one of these monkeys for $1 million, what benefit do you derive? Just display it on the wall or what?
Right. So profile picture projects don't really have as much utility as you would a whole lot of other projects in the NFT space. Now, profile picture projects, they try and create utility like exclusive clubs or some sort of mandate where only the people that are holding it are able to get into. And I mean that the exclusivity of it all will drive the demand. And that monkey one you speak of is called the Bored Ape Yacht Club. Probably the most famous project in the world, where your minimum is what, maybe like 200,000 now to buy one. And that, it started off
taking US or Pula.
US. So I mean, it started off at $200, and anyone could buy this. Trust you, anyone could buy this. And that's the beauty of it, that the people that didn't believe in it on the way sold, and the people that kept theirs are reaping at the end of it. I think that is also a story we like to hear, that anyone can win.
Is there a connection between NFTs and crypto?
Yes, very much so. The NFT market is based on certain crypto mainnets, or your layer ones. They call your layer one crypto tokens are your Ethereum, your Polygon, your Solana. These layer one tokens are able to create blockchains that are usable. So unlike Bitcoin, where it's more of a storage of value and there isn't much utility behind the blockchain of Bitcoin, these blockchains, your Ethereum blockchain, your Polygon blockchain, are able to host smart contracts. And what I spoke about by that is your creator can create a smart contract and now buy and sell on that platform. So I mean, your Ethereum right now is probably the biggest layer one blockchain that is facilitating the NFT space. So maybe about 80% of NFTs are on the Ethereum mainnet, and then you've got some second and third place of Polygon, Solana, and some other come-ups. I think they're all interesting. They all have advantages and disadvantages.
And tell me, how does one empower themselves in terms of knowledge and in terms of protecting themselves against the downside risk when they get into the space?
Yeah, like everything right now, the new technologies are best researched through asking questions on Google, getting on YouTube, getting on Twitter, and following the people that speak on it daily. You'll gain confidence once certain words are being thrown around more often. You hear these words, you just gain a confidence into how it works as well. Just like any interest you may have had growing up, it
starts off as a mystery,
right? And then it's your vision for how you want to play in the space that drives your interest. And then you start picking up things.
I see a lot of celebrities like Gary Vee and even Snoop Doggy Dogg are getting into this.
Yeah, they are very much into it. In fact, they've also brought the children. Snoop Dogg's child is more into it than he is, and he's actually using Snoop Dogg's name to build it. So I mean, this is a space that the people that are already rich are utilizing to get richer. But the lovely thing about the space is anyone can get rich. It's one of those opportunities where you take advantage of it now, you probably make some decent money in a couple of years.
Is it likely to attract the attention of regulators like Bank of Botswana?
Oh yes, I'm sure there's already been a crypto legislation that they've created, and can't tell you much about that because I haven't gone into the details of that. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure they've used a template that they've seen and they built around that in terms of what can be done and what can't be. I'm sure there's a tax on your transactions, and just like any market that's budding, there will be regulators, you know.
And to what extent can property play a role? Because I've heard of NFTs and property, or property and NFTs, which is really like virtual apartments and things like that.
I'm glad you've asked, because now you're combining 2 or 3 of my interests into one. And that is the beauty of the Web3 space. The Web3 space is utilizing what we know as Web2, which is currently your read and your write, and scaling that to a level.
Explain to people what you mean by read and write.
So as technology grew, we had your Web 1 platforms and way of doing things, and that was primarily us being able to read off your mediums. Web 2 introduced us being able to create, to a certain extent anyway, to create files, for example, and to use those files, download those files, interpret those files how we want. Web 3 now allows creators out of all of us. So it creates creators. Now that just allows the possibilities with that are endless, and the Web3 space brings not just crypto and NFTs, but it brings all types of sectors into it to say, how can we create value from where we stand and raise it towards everyone, from it being just us to everyone now accessing it.
Are you talking about the metaverse? Or there's an element of that? So
there's an element of the metaverse. Now, how you said real estate can I guess leverage off this is, I'm going to use now real examples because I've been looking at these guys. The all types of metaverse real estate firms, for example, and your consultants on the metaverse are, you know, assisting with purchasing land, which is, by the way, is just as expensive as real land now. You're purchasing, they've got plots.
Try sleeping in a bed from the metaverse.
Wow.
What's going to happen?
I don't know how people actually have gotten onto this so fast, such that, you know, everyone's taking it seriously, in that your properties are now exactly the same amount as your real properties. Your land plots, you know, you buy land.
Is this just in America or everywhere?
So no, it's the beauty of it is it's accessible to everyone. And as usual, you have the Americans who will, you know, deploy first, take advantage. You've got some Europeans, and then you've got your Asians as well. So the metaverse, I don't know how Mark Zuckerberg put it, but I think he confused everyone. The metaverse can be any platform, anyone that wants to start a platform. I could start a metaverse platform. And in my metaverse, I could have rules and regulations, and I could price my plots, allocate what I want towards who I want, and then have it as a living, breathing system.
Let's link it to property, and let's bring it down to the Botswana situation.
Yeah.
Can any of this be applicable, and if so, how?
And I think very soon it can be in a real Botswana situation. You've got people that are fractionalizing real estate. So you get your property, and you put it into a percentage where everyone gets 0.001%, for example, as a token. And that token can be bought the same way you would buy property. Now you're just buying shares of the property, and in the same way you'd be able to get rental or get a dividend from a stock. You would get, you know, remunerated in that process if you're owning shares of the. So it's like a timeshare but more complicated. You've got the digital contract, which would be the base for everything: your title deed, your agreements, you've got Mogobe Plaza. You want to rent out to multiple tenants. All of them will have a relationship on the blockchain, so there's no confusion. You know, everyone can see this, and that's the beauty of it. It's an open platform. It's decentralized. Anyone can access it.
How does the tenant benefit?
So I mean, your tenants, I'll give you an example. I've got this project that I've invested into. They buy land and they rent it out. So they buy land in the metaverse on Sandbox. Sandbox is probably your Bitcoin of metaverses. They are the early adopters, and they've really scaled their platform to a level. So they'll buy the land as a developer or a rich guy, rent that land out, and whoever who's renting can do what they want with that land. Whether there's a building on it already, or whether it's a plot and they want to building on these metaverses are much easier and much cheaper than building.
But you said the valuations are becoming
yeah, the valuations, the land values, and the properties themselves at a certain level, they are just as costly as buying real land and real properties. However, when you're building, you can leverage off the tools that are given within whatever projects that, like, for example, Sandbox has tools that allow you to build.
Are we confusing reality and games?
I feel like we are not confusing it. We are realizing the worth of everyone making money from this. So we used to just waste time on these games, and even at a professional level, you wouldn't be making a lot of money. Now we can be part of the ecosystem, and we can leverage off the same platform that people with money have, using different ways to maybe build ourselves, and if ultimately play with the same players. I think that opportunity shouldn't be understated.
What about in South Africa? Is there anyone there that you can point to who's gaining some traction in this area?
Not in terms of metaverse, and not in terms of real estate. No, I can't point to anyone. I do know a few people that are just like me, exploring the space, seeing how they can tie themselves in. I'm really trying to get into the metaverse on the real estate level, through not just through experiences I am aware of, like your agency. I'm trying to see how we can use that to create our own metaverses. I think Africa will, in the very near future, I think Africa, Botswana, South Africa will all have their own metaverses, which all mean something to the people of the country, and it'll now be tied with, you know, your players in the business, your government. I think there will be a lot of.
Do you see any downside? Do you see any downside risk?
I mean, this industry is a new industry. It's also very unregulated because of its decentralized nature, but more so because you've got your scammers who, you know, are also just utilizing it for what it is. So I mean, just as you've gotten scammers that have improved themselves through our evolution, they're here and they're doing what they're doing. But I mean, we've got people, we've got ethics boards, we've got everything else in this space that also you probably want to be a part of, and see how, you know, you can best protect yourself.
Okay, I want us to go back to the Bots Real event.
Right.
In terms of giving us a brief discussion as to the format and segmenting. I think let's go back to Mother Earth now, because all this metaverse talk is a bit over my head.
Right. I mean, it's also important to realize, you know, life is short, and as much as we were finding all these new ways of living and new ways of doing things, we have families, friends, business partners that we also impact. We need to realize that on a micro level, you know, you do want to be involved with other real people, and not lose yourself in there. So yeah, I have this real estate event that we can speak on, Bots Real event.
Yeah, I just want to know the format and the segmenting.
Right, so I mean, we have a full day on the 2nd of March, and we'll have about 7-8 sessions, and you've got your players from across all sectors. You've got your financial and your lending institutions, you've got your agencies and your developers, you've got also hospitality in there, and some government as well. And basically we do this every year on certain countries we realize that are making way, you know, also trying to figure things out and have something to say for the year. So, I mean, we do have the Botswana one. We have, in this year, we'll also have Zimbabwe, we'll have Mozambique, and Zambia. Those are our national events. And then we have regional events as well. So the Botswana one, in its entirety, is a full day event. It happens yearly.
After you talk about the financial institutions, then who else? Are we getting developers? Who else is on the
Yeah, so I mean, we have all types of players. Every single real estate practitioner and anyone in the built environment that would be affected by infrastructure or by property development, all the way to your roads and transport, we have them in there. This year, I would say it's more of a focus on your financials. Your main focus is, so we have ESG. The main topics will be on display, but then we also have nuanced topics like your prop tech, which are also budding and also growing. So, for example, this year we do have a small, I'd call it maybe an entree or a prelude to the main event, which is happening on the 1st in conjunction with Stanbic Bank, and they are doing an incubator or some sort of a web series for themselves in conjunction with API events, and they will be speaking on strictly on prop tech in that, so we should also catch that.
Let's talk a bit about the benefits and pricing.
Yeah, so I mean, as a delegate or an attendee, we are selling tickets at $225. That will
dollars, not pula.
Not pula. We use dollars because, like I said, we're all over Africa, so we don't want to deter anyone by providing the pula amount. You have the dollar amount. If you pay through your card, it's usually also transacted in the dollar amount. The beauty of this one is we have our industry partner, the Real Estate Institute of Botswana, as well as our other industry partner, the Real Estate Advisory Council, on board. Any members of both those bodies are eligible for a 10% discount.
From the $250.
From the $225.
Yeah.
So that will be brought to just under $200. And we are happy to offer further discounts to those teams or companies that are bringing multiple delegates. So we do have ways of incentivizing people to join. I feel like the pricing for this event could be a bit dodgy because of how we haven't had an in-person event in 2.5 years. We don't know really the demand. I mean, we have an idea, but we don't really know how people are receptive to such.
It's a bit negotiable.
Definitely on a level where, for example, it pays to be a member of your Real Estate Institute of Botswana. Shout out to them and your advisory council as well, the REAC. We've got speakers from both bodies. We've got your chairman, Mr. Maje, who will be a part of the event.
Great guy. He's been on this show.
Yeah, he's also a very good thinker. And we also have Mrs. Manake, who
she's also been here.
I mean, it's good that they've been here already because I'm sure everyone is aware of these people. If you've been in the real estate space, those are your president and your chairman of our bodies. So it's important to have these integral bodies in our events. I think everywhere we go, it's an important thing to partner. Is what we call that. We have partnership agreements with them, and they're also able to, like I said, offer their members discounts, and we also get speaking opportunities through them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a guest here last time. In fact, we uploaded the video, I think, last Friday. Mr. Gilbert Sisini, who's a surveyor.
Yes.
And I don't know whether you heard what he shared, but basically he sees us going the route of Dubai, or to paraphrase him, he says Dubai-like in terms of potential. What are your views, and if you share that, what would be the key to unlocking that values for us to head in that direction?
That's an interesting question. If I'm looking at economies like Dubai's and Singapore's, the key differences, or some of the key differences I can speak on, are their reaction and their understanding of service delivery and the understanding of timeliness. And I know you have a nugget of wisdom that you ask your speakers. I think I can give mine now. You know how they say in the Bible, or is it just in the olden days? I think it is in the Bible, that cleanliness is next to godliness.
Yeah.
I think in the business environment, timeliness is next to godliness. And when you speak of timeliness, we don't just speak on reaction and, like I said, your ability to react. It's your ability to plan. So your timeliness on planning. If we want to maybe action something that is similar to Dubai, what Dubai has right now, we need to understand that we need to look not just at how long Dubai took to do this and look at their template and review their structures, but we need to also adapt in a timely manner how this would affect us. What changes are we implementing, and how this now impacts our way of doing business. There's a lot of differences between us. It's easy to see it from a bird's eye view that this is coming up and this is how this has come about, but in the background that took years of exact planning and really utilizing the resources they have, again, like what I was saying before, at that moment, to plan on to the next stage of what they need to get. So it wasn't a snap of the finger. It was more, in 2 years we got to have this done. In 5 years we got to have this done, and then during those 2 years there's review and implementation and change, and then during the 5 years there's further implementation and change, and the ability to be fluid in that sense, and the ability to have the structure and know how to maneuver it, or to merge it with something that's come up in the space that will be vital towards eventual success. I think Botswana as a whole, I think we need to have more emphasis or provide more training to understanding and research on structuring our plans towards meeting our goals. It's great to look outside, but what are our goals and how can we utilize what we're seeing to reach ours?
Yeah. Talk about the built environment, factors and importance to Botswana.
Yeah. So I mean, another part of me wanted to be a town planner. So it's an interesting sector to be in. There's everything that's connected that will affect everything else, and that for me is the beauty of the interest that I've gained from that, is how are we zoning ourselves for the next 10 years? How are we building our roads for the next 10 years? Because we see that traffic is building. When do we now act on that? We see, Hala, that the way our residential zones have been built, you've got your mid and your low across each other. How can we now leverage that situation to best suit the residents living there? I don't know if we are really focusing on the people that we want to gain value from the changes we are implementing, So if we want to focus on, if we want to focus on building the nation, we got to have specific focus on our residents, for example, and the accessibility and everything else that goes in the built environment. So your property and your roads, all the way to now more of the macro vision of things.
So we're not doing enough in that respect.
I don't like to judge because I don't know I can't say that I've been a part of any of the key meetings that have gone on. The way people have been looking at this for the last 10 years, I really can't say, But I think it would be good to have a mixture of young people in those teams, people that are aware that, these things now matter more than anything if you do want to build.
Entrepreneurs and the entrepreneurial environment in real estate space.
Yeah, I mean, this sector, just like a lot of other valuable sectors to our economy, are growing in a rapid pace. And the prop tech industry, for example, is so huge, you really can't call it a sub-industry. It used to be titled a sub-industry of real estate. It really is its own, and that's as huge for entrepreneurs to see that there's value in changing the way we do business. Not only on a buying and sell and that level,
which causes me to want to ask you, which inclination or what are your biases? Are you biased towards a buy and hold strategy, or are you a flipper? You buy and you flip.
That is
which strategy is more advantageous?
It's purely dependent on your strategy for your end goal, and I think we need to look at the end goal and then work back, and say, would flipping be better in this sense? Would holding be better in this sense? I mean, were you buying a multi-res? And that I mean, in this situation, I would say buy multi-res. I think I was listening to a space. They call them spaces on Twitter from Mrs. Setebe Manake, and she was speaking for Botswana to say, look, this is our industry. This is how you would probably want to invest as a first-time buyer, or as someone that wants to invest in property. You probably would want to get a multi-res at this level, and she gave us reasons behind that. And I think that the end goal is so much more important. Not only that, but from where you are, you need to look at where you are and what you can do.
What's your personal philosophy?
At the moment, I wish. Let me not say I wish. I would hope to have a portfolio that caters to, the possibility of doing multiple type of transactions, and for multiple reasons. A part of me would like to continue on an Airbnb type of system where there's very flexible and fluid rates and demand, and you can gain a lot from that in a short space of time. And then another part of me realizes that there needs to be something that holds you down in your background that you can rely on regardless of what happens. Real estate is what it is, that you can use it as an instrument to hold you down regardless of what happens, and that is important as well. So it's what the market is showing, that you can now be a bit more fluid and flexible. For example, buying fractional real estate, able to buy and sell that as
sectional title,
right? And with that also comes its own issues. So you just need to learn how to to leverage from.
Can I ask you the crystal ball question that I never fail to ask my guests?
Right.
If you grab that crystal ball, you're looking 10 years plus 15 years.
Right.
What can you say about Lante Incorporated or Lante brand, and of course API?
Right. I can speak for myself. API Events, I'm sure, will continue to be the leading real estate events platform for anyone that wants to do training, webinars, seminars. Definitely contact them. And for myself, I feel like my interests will drive the next 20 years of my life. That's Web3, that's property, that's entrepreneurship, and it's interlinking players, and it's interlinking I would say sectors. So I don't want to hone in, which I probably should do, because what honing in does is it saves you a lot of time, and you then tend not to think of the mystery of what could happen if you decided to do certain things. But what I don't want to do is also just close off on possibilities, because a lot of the sectors I'm in right now have such mysterious futures, you know, and very fluid and growing
exciting futures, I might add.
Very exciting, and you know, it's not just for the players, it's also for the earners, the learners, the people that are coming in with no idea to also now, you know, make something of themselves in that space. I feel like that's...
So you foresee yourself in 10 years, 15 years doing what exactly?
I mean, that could be, if I'm well established enough, that could be a teaching role, for example. Or something that like you're doing, facilitating conversations around, or with like-minded people around the spaces that we're going to be impacting. I think at a stage where I'm at in 20 years, I think what you're doing is a perfect thing to do.
Okay.
Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom is a platform where you've got your players that are, you know, trying to figure things out. And, you know, some have done well for themselves, some are still figuring it out, but that's the important thing, that, you know, there's conversation around it. I think at the age of you know, 50 plus, I would have hoped to have impacted certain sectors that I am interested in as much as you have for me to now provide.
Thank you very much.
A platform for that, yeah.
I find that very uplifting.
You're welcome. I mean, I could praise you more, but it is commendable that, you know, someone has decided to do that.
Your chance to shoot a question.
Question for you. I really don't want to ask something that someone has might have asked before. You know, I might ask something a bit off the grid. But now that you have established yourself, you know, in multiple areas, you know, and built a company that, you know, hosts multiple companies, what would you say is one thing that someone should do at your age? So you've gone through certain stages, you've dropped certain things off, you've kept certain things, and you now have a group of companies. What would you say is a very key, I guess you could call it, hindrance that people should take heed of growing up when building yourself in whatever area you're in? What should they now look out for and say, you know, if you can get this out of your life, try your best to? I mean, beyond the fear thing, I think a main factor for people would be, don't be scared to start something new. You hear that over and over again, but I'm sure there's something that you can say from a realistic view that you could maybe say that.
Yeah, I think it's a two-part question. One relates to more or less what do I do now that I'm getting what some people call the afternoon of one's life. I'm getting into that part, you know, second half, as it were. So I don't believe in retirement. I believe in that God intended us for work. If you look at the Bible, you look at the Torah, you look at any of these good books, even in our culture, there's no word for retirement. So I believe that we should continue to strive to impact other people's lives and continue to work as long as you have energy. The fact that you woke up in the morning is an indication that you can carry on. So that's the first part. There's a tendency to withdraw ourselves from the marketplace around age 60, 50, 60, 70. I don't believe in that. Yes, you can slow down. Yes, you can recast, you can reposition. But I don't believe in retirement, number one. Number two, in terms of going back, I think you implied, question, what's the one thing that I think people should do to try and navigate, to navigate this period and to move forward. I think it boils down to personal development, in my judgment. It boils down to lifelong learning. And it boils down to me a preparedness to keep learning and to try and absorb as much information as possible when you're young. For instance, I regret not getting to serious personal development until I was in my 30s. I suspect if I had started earlier, my results would be a lot different. So if there's any lesson or any nugget that I can drop there, it is to say, be very deliberate, be very conscientious about your personal development efforts. Don't just be casual in terms of maybe spending 3 hours just scrolling on the
Can you expand on ways or tools that people can impact themselves or the personal development journey?
I think we basically know all of them. One is to look for certain books. I've made recommendations in the nuggets about books that I think are pivotal, and other mentors can guide you. I've also mentioned the importance of mentorship. The mentors won't fall from the sky, on your lap. You have to seek out mentors. You have to cultivate relationships with mentors and develop mentorship relationships as a mentee. The onus is on you. And then thirdly, you have to be prepared to absorb large quantities of information in your area of interest and go out of your way to position yourself to be like a sponge. And I think I've answered this question before, that if you don't do that, you're really limiting your chances of growth and success. I hope I've answered your question.
You have, and I agree on those 3 points as well. As your main bread and butter for personal development. My dad is big on that, so I appreciate that. Also, what you're saying from a personal point of view.
Instilled it in you, I can see.
Yeah.
Look at that camera and share with the viewer a few last words, parting words of encouragement as we conclude.
Okay, I think just branching off on what Mr. Mogobe had said, that focus on things that you want to improve on, and that comes from not just yourself, improving yourself, but also the people you care about. You'll realize that your friends and family also have goals. Just see how they go about that and see how you can help them, really assist them to see their goals clearer and to commit and to go for their goals. Because a lot of us ride on motivation. I don't think it's said enough that a lot of our motivation, our best motivation, comes from the people we care about. So especially in a time now that everyone's speaking on mental health and such, I think it's important to just look at your friend, your family member, and realize that in this short life we all have goals, but we also have our relationships that we can build. And at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of those are more important than the goals we have for this life. The people we meet and have been forced to be with, in a way, I think those people are there for a reason. So I think create a relationship with the people that matter to you. I think that's important.
Wow, that's wonderful. Would you care to inform them how they can contact you and how they can participate in this event that you're promoting?
Yes, firstly, the Botswana Property and Infrastructure Forum is on the 2nd of March. It'll be a full-day event. Tickets are $225. We do have ways you can, take part if you can't afford that. So, contact us on info@apievents.com. You are also welcome to visit botsreal.com, botsreal.com. You'll find most of the information on the event there. You can also register yourself. Do register yourself as a member of API Events. API Events have changed my life. Before I even knew of the company, I knew of the company because being a real estate practitioner, I just decided to follow and sign up to as many people that were hosting all types of real estate information for us in Africa. So they're a big part of I'm glad I got to work with them. They're a big part of the African real estate industry. So myself, you can also follow me on Bannerman. Bannerman is Bannermane. I just post that's on Instagram. Yeah, I just post a bit of myself and some of the work I do. You're also welcome to reach out to me personally. I don't know if I can give my number.
You can share your business WhatsApp.
Yeah, that's I think I'd rather not.
Okay.
but it is easy for you to contact me through social medias. I am on Facebook. I don't use it much, but my name is there, Lante Bannerman. And then, like I said, Instagram as well at Bannerman. That's about it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. You've done well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mogobe. Thank you. Good stuff, man.
Welcome to Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. My name is Mompoloki Mogobe. Our objective is to enthuse, inspire, energize, and empower entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs of all stripes here in BW and beyond. We do so by inviting these entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs into our makeshift studio. Sometimes we call them to the restaurant, sometimes we go to our studio, and we ask them to share their experiential knowledge, their experiences and their expertise, and we ask them as many questions as we can, aimed at empowering you also as a viewer.